A white plastic palette isn't the most gripping thing in the world for your watercolours, is it? I thought there had to be an alternative, so I went Googling. And I want to share with you 4 alternatives that I found. My name's Liz Chadderton. I'm a watercolour artist based in Berkshire. Every week I share a tip or trick or technique that I wish I'd known about ages ago. And this week it's about alternatives to that very boring white plastic palette. So I wanted to share with you 4 little alternative watercolour palettes that have caught my eye while I've been browsing online. Any excuse to buy new art materials. When you start painting in watercolour, you're likely to buy yourself a box of watercolours of some description. They might be plastic like this or a tin one like that. And I've got a whole film about the different advantages of plastic tin and ceramic palettes. In fact, this one is my very first watercolour box from about 25 years ago. So you can see it's been well used. But it comes to a point when you might want to start choosing your own colours. You know, you might look at look at this one and think, I don't need white in my palette. Or you can see I've hardly used that green because I think it's a horrible colour. And, you know, 25 years later, it's still new. Whereas you can see all these ones I've topped up with colour from a tube. You might get to the point of thinking, you know, I paint mostly flowers. I want a palette with lots of pinks and purples in it. Or I'm a landscape painter. I want lots of nice earth colours, and you're going to start building your own palette. Little white plastic palettes like this are available online for a few pounds, a few dollars, a few whatever your currency is. You can get smaller ones, bigger ones. Often they've got, you know, thumb holes so that you can hold it if you're out and about painting. This one's got a little holder for your paintbrushes, and you can squeeze out colours from tubes if you've got them, or you can get boxes, empty boxes like this, that you can just put little half pans straight in, and you can easily select the colours that you like. But in the end, they are just white plastic. So there have to be some more innovative designs out there, or ones that are just a little bit more attractive. So I thought I would share 4 that have caught my eye. The first one wins on cuteness scale. It's just a tiny little tin with a little insert, so you can put 12 colours in. The insert does come out totally. And you can just select your 12 colours, shut it up, and look, it's tiny, that would fit in a pocket. Out of interest, I bought this for £2.48 on Temu. Amazon in the UK has it for about £4.50. Loads and loads of different designs. Just thought it was sweet. Downside is that you've got no white mixing area. You could maybe paint that with some white acrylic or white enamel so that you've got a little mixing area, because, as I say, you need something, in my opinion. Now, of course, this is super easy to make yourself. I've got a whole film about how I made this little travel set using a mini ice cube tray like this. It's a silicone tray. You can just cut it to size. You can use any tin that you've already got hanging around, add in your colours, add in a few different things to make it your tin. And here I did paint the inside of the lid, and I used some hot glue to make little mixing wells. You don't need to buy one of those, you can make your own, but I couldn't resist that because it was just so sweet. Next one that caught my eye is, because I'm a bit of a sucker for wood, was this one. It's held together with magnets, both shut and then together like that. So you've got your little set. I don't think these magnets are strong enough, and I would definitely put a clip like that to keep it together. It's got a nice little mixing area here, and it's got wells for, what's that, 15 spaces for 15. And just in case you're thinking, ooh, do I have to squeeze the paints out into the wood? How would I change those? That'll be messy. It actually comes teeny tiny little pans that you can fill and then pop in to your palette. I mean, how cute is that again? I just think it's lovely. That was £4.72 on Temu, and it's about £9 on Amazon. I'm giving you UK prices, and I know not all products are available in all different countries of the world. I'm really sorry if I mention something and you can't find it locally, but most things, if you search, and Google is your friend, you will be able to find locally. So if you put mini wooden magnetic palette or whatever the equivalent is, I bet you'd be able to find it. But maybe you're looking for something a bit more along the lines of those boring white palettes, but with a few extra design features. Now this is called the Moisturizing Professional Fine Art Palette Box. I haven't got a brand on it, and that cost me, what am I going to say? £8.97, or it was £12.99 on UK Amazon. And why I liked it wasn't just that it had a coloured lid, though let's have a look. It is available in purple, blue, red and black. It is that it is waterproof. What a sensible idea. It has a silicone gasket round the side, so it is waterproof. It has a big mixing area, lots of mixing areas, and some pretty deep wells. It's got a really good clip for keeping that shut. The issue with these ordinary cheap palettes is there you've been painting. You've got puddles of paint in here. Of course you should wipe that up before you shut it up and go home. Maybe you don't. Maybe these wells are quite wet and you shut it up and it leaks out of the hinge, leaks out of the holes where, you know, thumb hole, and all the paint goes all over whatever else is in your bag. This is sealed with a really good clip. The other advantage, just besides leaking, is that say you're using gouache while you're out and about. Gouache, if it dries out, it never ever quite gets back to that creamy nature that you love if you add in water. Or you might be using acrylics. Now, I'm not an acrylic painter, but this, I reckon, would be pretty good for acrylics because, again, it's not going to dry out half as quickly. Just out of interest, so this little palette, I was teaching a, what was it? Urban sketching course. So we were out and about. I bought a whole set, because I always provide materials, whole set of these little palettes, and I filled them. This is artist quality watercolour, straight from tubes, and filled basic colours for the students. Now that was probably 2 years ago. It turned out to be the wettest, coldest August day ever. I think we had 60-mile-an-hour winds. It wasn't a great success. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is that some of the paints in 2 years have dried out and even cracked. Can you see those cracks? That's cadmium yellow, that's cadmium red, that's lemon yellow. Whereas some of the paints, 2 years on, you won't be able to actually hear it, but trust, well, look, hopefully you can see that on my finger. The sap green is still sticky. 2 years on, it hasn't dried out. So if you do squeeze paints into a palette, just be aware some may never dry. And that's partly because the amount of gum arabic in the formulation. It's partly that some paints have glycerin or honey added to the formulation, and they will never fully dry. So in the interests of science, I am going to put some water in here, shut it up and give it a shake and see whether it leaks. And I hope you can see no leaks. I think that's pretty sensible as an innovation, and why that hasn't happened before, I don't know. And here is number 4. I have to thank a student who came on one of my workshops who had one of these, because I'd never seen them before, and I thought, oh, I like that. So Google, found one. On Temu it was £6.07, and on Amazon it was £9.99. It comes with a strap, which, say you were out doing urban sketching, would be kind of good. If you don't want it, just take it off. And now look at this. I hope I can remember how it all works. You can take that out, and we'll look at the palette in a second, and you might be thinking, what is that? But let me put it sideways and push it out. It is a silicone foldable water pot. Isn't that brilliant? So you just squish it up, push it out when you want to use it. I just think that's really clever. And I mean, I've seen these foldable pots before, but I haven't seen them fitting round a palette. So clever. Oh, and you've got a little brush holder should you wish that. And let's look at this palette. So let me remember how we do that. Open a very secure clip, and again you've actually got a gasket. This one's removable. If you're out and about, make sure you don't lose it. But to provide a really good seal, you've got 16 little wells that you could put your watercolours in, or your acrylics, or your gouache. I think this would make a really good little gouache palette. You have got a mixing area here. It's not huge, but hey ho, don't be greedy. When you close up, oh, should we do our scientific test? I haven't ever tried this, so there you go. Put some water in. Put our gasket on. Clip it shut. Give it a good shake. Nothing's coming out. See, evidence, nothing's there. That all works really, really well, just to prove the water was still in there. So I love this. I think this is probably my favourite out of the four that caught my eye. Each of them would have, you know, different applications. It's not quite pocket size, I guess. When you want to put it back together, you just put that in there. And then let me remember how we do that. Oh, we just clip that there and it all holds together. And then obviously, if you want to you could put your clip on, I don't know, you could put it on the brush holder or the clip the other side. I'll put links to the places I found them in the description. Say those aren't affiliate links, they're just where I happen to find these things. So you can follow those, and if it's not in your country, as say, Google will be your friend. Those are 4 new palette ideas that have caught my eye. If you've seen something that's more interesting than a boring white palette, let me know in the comments.